Red Prairie Dog.
The Wesson TCP, also known as the Tactical Compact Pistol. Is it really compact? Well, we'll compare it with a few others here, and you can judge for yourself whether or not it's a compact pistol. All right, thanks for stopping in while we take a look at the Wesson TCP, Tactical Compact Pistol. Let's get a couple things out of the way to start with. Is this really a compact pistol? 4-inch barrel, comes with a couple of 9-round magazines. You can put 10-round magazines in there, of course, which we'll get to in just a minute. But really, is it compact? Well, here's your compact pistol, the ubiquitous Glock 19. All right, from the top, the Wesson is just a little bit bigger. From the back, it is quite a bit taller. I'm sorry, compact? Well, certainly debatable. Definitely bigger than the ubiquitous Glock 19. How about something else that maybe is a little more similar? The Kimber Aegis Pro, and same capacity in a single stack 9mm. By the way, this is available in 9 and 45. This particular one's a 9. The Aegis has a 4-inch barrel, as does the Wesson. But it's also, Wesson is just a little bit taller. Of course, a lot of that's the magwell. Other than that, they're relatively similar size-wise. So, is this a compact? I don't know. The commander size is same capacity, but 4 1/4 inch barrel, and Wesson Guardian is my example of the commander size. So obviously the Guardian has a slightly longer barrel, being 4 1/4 as opposed to 4. And again, the magwell is what's going to make the difference in pretty much the difference in the height. And other than that, it's just a tad smaller length, tad longer in the grip than the commander size. Another good one is the Ruger SR 1911 commander size. This is a naval special warfare one, and 4 1/4 inch barrel on this. Again, you can see the Ruger commander size is longer and a little bit taller. So is it really a compact size? Well, again, you judge based on what you just saw there. How about weight wise? And then we'll get into the features here in just a minute. So this is again, we're going to do it with a 9-round capacity magazine, which is this one, and we'll talk more about magazines here in just a minute, but definitely buries up into the magwell. All right, the gun itself with an optic on it. This is the Trijicon RMR HD, and it's 34.6 ounces. So with 9 rounds of 124 grain ammunition in the magazine, or for the magazine, and 1 extra round for the chamber, we're 38.8. This is aluminum frame, so it should be relatively light. Then again, the Ruger is also aluminum frame, now doesn't have the optic on it. So we're 32.5, a fair amount lighter. The Wesson Guardian, again, no optic on it. 31.6, again, aluminum frame gun. The Kimber with an optic. Now the Kimber is a steel frame, so it's going to be a little bit different. And we're now up to 41.2 ounces fully loaded. So is the TCP really compact? Again, I'll let you judge based on what you've seen for weight and overall size. But they claim it's a tactical compact pistol. All right, again, we mentioned 4-inch barrel. It does have a nice flush barrel, flush to the slide, which I like. A 30-degree crown on it, and does have a, let's see if we can show it here. I can't see it with the optic in the way, but it does have a fully ramped barrel, a full-length guide rod with a takedown hole. You can just barely see it in there. Aluminum magwell, one-piece magwell, which works really well with the 10-round magazines. This is a Wesson 10-round. And you can see it hangs up just a little bit there, but not a big deal. It does work. The 9-round magazine, a little tough to work with the magwell. Kind of defeats the purpose to some extent. So we shot it mainly with with the 10-round magazines in it. Has a flat faced K-style trigger, which is they call it the large trigger. Also has a square tactical hammer. I don't know what's tactical about that kind of hammer, but hey, that's what they call it. let's see, 25 lines per inch on the checkering on the front strap. Same thing on the mainspring housing. Good memory bump on the beaver tail. A good positive safety with lots of shelf on it. Easy to get my thumb on, easy to ride. And let's see, tri-top type slide with some serrations on it, which theoretically will cut down glare, although I don't have a problem with that. The stock sight that it comes with is a brass bead front sight, and you can see that that does not co-witness. I'm going to get back to sights here in just a second. So it comes with a cover plate on it and a U-notch rear sight that obviously has the mounting plate on, which it doesn't come with, by the way, for the RMR. But you can see there's a dovetail in that, so theoretically you can add a co-witness rear sight. You have to change the front sight out, which is dovetail also, and that way you can get your co-witness. The sight, you can see the dovetail, or the angle on the front of the sight does not quite match the angles on the tri-top slide, but again, just a minor cosmetic issue. It does have a little bit of taper in the front, not quite a carry melt, but close to it. And let's see, in the back, the fit and finish on what I like about Dan Wesson is the extractor is very nicely fitted to the frame, excuse me, to the slide. The slide is nicely fitted to the frame, and the ejector is also very nicely fitted. So again, they pay a lot of attention to detail on most of their guns. I do like it. The grips are unique in that they're tapered front and rear, and also tapered a little bit thinner at the top than they are at the bottom. The bottom blends with the magwell very nicely. And this gun feels really, really good in the hand. It feels, of course, I just love 1911s anyway, but it feels solidly planted in the hand. It does work really well. A little bit of an undercut on the back of the trigger guard, and an extended magazine release that is also checkered and does stick out a fair amount. It is not ambidextrous. No slide serrations in the front for press check, but you can still make it work if you need to. Good serrations in the back, but with the optic on it, yeah, okay, you can do it. You can pinch it, but you can also just run the optic. The Trijicon RMR HD, this particular one has a 3 1/4 MOA dot. I believe you can also get it with a 1 MOA dot. This has a 3 1/4 in it. And all right, I got to show a picture on this one. Craig mounted this. It's his gun, so he mounted the optic on it, and didn't sight it all. In fact, he'd never shot this gun. Gave it to me and said, try it out. And I took it to the indoor range to just see where it shot. And you can see the first 3 shots were windage perfect, elevation just a hair high. And that was at 15 yards. I didn't want to mess with it. I did play with it a little bit to bring the sight back down where I wanted it, so that I could work it well at 12, 25, and 50 yards, which we did. And I'll roll some of that footage in here. But this is not without issue. Now, it does take a little bit of breaking in, apparently. It's got a flat wire recoil spring. In the 45 version, Dan Wesson claims that this will last 15,000 rounds, which is 3 times what the recoil spring should last in most other guns. They don't say what it's supposed to be for the 9mm. I got to believe it's every bit of that. But I did have some problems with it. Again, I'm going to attribute that to just breaking in a new gun at this point. But many times it would not quite go into battery. We're talking just barely out. It was enough so, by the way, you can verify that this gun is in fact empty. No magazine in it and no round in the chamber. So if the slide is just a hair out of battery, the hammer will still fall, but it won't hit the firing pin. It goes into the half-cock notch. So there were a couple of times, first time it happened, I thought I had a misfire, but I checked there was no firing pin mark on the primer. So I determined then it's just a hair out of battery. It wouldn't quite go in. Sometimes it stayed out a little farther. I couldn't even pull the trigger. But again, I'm attributing that to right now a break-in issue. Also, many times the slide would not stay to the rear on an empty magazine. Right now, you can see the first time there it didn't. So it's a little finicky there with the slide stop lever, and you can see actually the slide stop lever doesn't go very far up into the notch there, just bare. There we go. So I have to force it up, and it looks like that's hanging up just a little bit on the plunger tube here. Let's put the magazine back in and see what it'll do. So we get it all the way back, and it just barely goes in, and it doesn't always go in all the way, and that can be a problem with it. So it's just hanging up a little bit on the plunger. But again, I'm going to say this is a break-in issue. At 12 yards, we did have some problems, not with accuracy, not with trigger function. By the way, the trigger is about 3.5 pounds, really consistent, really nice. virtually no up and down play.
Alice again.
A little bit of take up, typical of 1911, and
There we go.
there is over travel, although there's an over travel stop, but it has not been adjusted yet on this gun. But it can be adjusted. So again, nice trigger. A lot to like about this TCP. A little heavy, but is it a compact? Man, I would not not call it a compact. You want a compact? And that to me is going to be the officer size for my staccato C. Boy, I wish they made this gun anymore. The new C is a double stack. I like the feel of the single stack. Anyway, so they call it a compact. Not sure it is, but it does work really nice. Just needs some more breaking in, a little more tender, loving care. But I'm sure Craig will give it that TLC. I've got about 100 and what do I have? 110 rounds to the gun so far, and that's it. So a few hundred more, and I'm sure this will be a really nice carry gun.
Start with the yellow raccoon on the right, black crow next to him, head flipper on the black silhouette. Now come on. And once again, did not quite go into battery. Back to the head flipper. There we go. Red standing woodchuck. Green standing prairie dog. 12-inch on the left, black with a white center. 8-inch next to it. What I can do at 50, if I can do anything at all. Start with the silver gong. 16-inch high right. 12-inch below that. Got that one, okay. How about the 10-inch to the left of the 16? 8-inch below that. 6-inch to the left of that. Getting dark out here. I can barely see the 6. Turn the dot down just one more notch. There we go.
All right, Dan Wesson Tactical Compact Pistol, also known as the TCP. By the way, no big billboard on it. It just says TCP on the one side and nothing on the other side of the slide. I like that. It's clean. It looks nice. All right, just not so quick look at the nice Dan Wesson TCP. Thanks for stopping in.